Hey everyone, this is Bales. I'm at FantasyLabs looking at MLB player models, and I wanted to run through our new metric park factors, which we have for both batters and pitchers. And we do it a little bit differently, I think, than some other sites. So I wanted to really explain what we're doing here. So park factors are shown on a 0 to 100 scale, with 0 being the most pitcher friendly and 100 being the most hitter friendly, and that's for batters. It's the inverse for pitchers. A higher score is always better. Coors obviously has a 100 rating for batters because it's historically clearly been the most hitter friendly park. That is pretty obvious, but there's some that I think are less obvious, and what isn't clear, I think a lot of times not factored into traditional park factors is breaking things down by handedness, because certain parks can be a lot more or less hitter friendly to lefties or righties. So that's one thing that we do. So if you sort by a particular team, so we'll just look at the Cardinals batters. They're playing at Pittsburgh PNC. That has a rating of 2 for right-handed bats, which means it's probably the second worst park historically for righties, and 18, which means it's still in the bottom fifth for lefty bats. The way that we calculate the numbers that go into this rating is by looking at each hit type and then weighing it according to how valuable it is on the site in terms of scoring and the frequency. So triples are obviously valuable, but they're so infrequent, and it would be a mistake to weigh those more than doubles, for example, just because doubles are so much more frequent and really more valuable, I think, to fantasy owners, just because of how much more predictable and how much more abundant they are than triples. So we weigh all those things, break it down by handedness, and then give a 0 to 100 score. So the lefty-righty handedness numbers for batters are going to be static. They're not static for pitchers, and the reason is we adjust for the opposing batting order. So you might see these change throughout the day as lineups are confirmed. So the way that we calculate it for pitchers is we do that same calculation, but it's the inverse. So a pitcher's going to get a 0 score at Coors, for example, but it's also broken down by the handedness of the batters he's facing, and then the probability of facing those guys. So it would be a mistake to, I think, value a 1 hitter the same as a number 7 or number 8 hitter, because the leadoff guy is just so much more likely to see an extra at bat. So what we do is multiply the percentage of at bats that spot can be expected to score. I think it's like 12% for leadoff hitters, and maybe 11.5 or something for number 2 hitters. I forget the exact numbers. We multiply that by the percentile and by their handedness, and then adjust every pitcher's park factor for that. So if a guy is projected to face a lineup of almost all lefties in a park that's been really friendly to lefties but really bad for righties, he's going to have a pretty poor park factor rating that's going to be pretty low, whereas a traditional park factor, and even some that use advanced data, perhaps are going to miss on that. So you can weigh park factor here in the sliders. It's been pretty predictive. I'm pretty pleased with how it came out, and definitely use it. One last thing I would say is be careful not to double weight or think about how you want to consider Vegas, weather, and park factor, because at a certain point you're capturing a lot of the same things. Park factors are heavily governed by atmospheric conditions, for example. So Globe Life in Arlington is a hitter's park, but a big part of that is the temperature. So if you're already weighing the weather, and that weather rating is going to be really high because it's really hot in Arlington, then you might be double counting. So just play around with it until you find the perfect balance, whatever's creating a high plus minus or whatever you think is going to be the sort of the optimal combination of those sliders.